good to see you all. Hope you had a go at the crumble last week, and as promised I'm going to do the bread-based pizza. So the first thing you're going to need is 250 grams of strong bread flour in your glass bowl. Just bread flour, there it is there. You can use just normal plain flour if you can't find that, so don't worry about it. Now into that we're going to add some yeast. Now remember I showed you this last week, you can get the tin of yeast or you can buy sachets. This one I got in Aldi's, so just a sachet would be fine if you can't get the tin. I quite like having the tin because you can just get out how much you need at a time, and for this recipe we're going to need 2 teaspoons or 5 millspoons of yeast, and I'm going to pop that just on one side of the bowl. And then we're going to add some sugar. Now the reason we're adding the sugar is because that makes the yeast work really quickly. The sugar, the yeast feeds on the sugar, so 1 teaspoon of sugar, and pop that on the side beside your yeast. Now we need some salt for the structure of the base and also for flavour, so 1 teaspoon of salt. Now put that on the other side of your bowl because yeast and salt, the yeast is a living microorganism and that's what's going to make your dough rise, and it doesn't like salt, so put that to the other side of your bowl. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of oil. Now it can be olive oil or vegetable oil, it really doesn't matter, I just like the flavour of olive oil, so I'm going to add that, and it's what I've got handy. Right, now we're going to start adding the liquid. And you're going to need about 175 ml of warm water, and it's really important that for the temperature of the water is warm. If it's hot, you'll kill the yeast, okay? And if it's cold, it will take a while to activate. Cold's okay, but it will just take a lot longer. So to get it warm, if you put 1 part boiling water from the kettle to 2 parts cold, that will give you exactly the right temperature. Or you can just get it out the tap and just do it as if you're testing a baby's bath water, just see if it's body temperature, just nice and warm. And we're just going to add this gradually. Now I can't give you an exact amount of water because different types of flour, different makes and brands absorb different amounts of water, so add it gradually, don't add the whole lot at once. I'm just using an ordinary table knife, kitchen knife, round bladed tea knife is the technical term, to bring this dough together. It's better than using a wooden spoon. You can use your hands, but it's a bit messy. Certainly in the initial stages, bringing the dough together. Now you don't want your dough to be too dry, okay, so if you were making pastry you would just add the least amount of water possible, whereas with the bread dough you want to add a touch more water than what you think you're going to need. You don't want it to be sticky, but you don't want it to be dry. Now ideally what you're looking to do is wipe the sides of the bowl clean with your dough. Right, once you've got it all together with your knife, put your knife aside, and then you're going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on your work surface, depending on how sticky your dough is, to how much flour you're going to need. Flour your hands as well, and then you're just going to knead this now for about 5 minutes until you get a nice smooth soft elasticy dough. Now you want to carry on doing that, as I say, for about 5 minutes until you get a nice soft smooth dough. When you poke it with your finger it should spring back up when it's ready. And what we're doing when we're kneading it, we're actually forming the elastic of the dough, which will give you a structure, and this would be the same if you were making bread. So you could actually use this same recipe and turn it into a loaf of bread, shape it into a farmhouse loaf, and then you would just maybe make some slits in it. That could go in the oven and be baked as bread. But we're just going to pop that back into the bowl, put a little bit more flour in the bottom of your bowl, cover that with a tea towel or some cling film and put it somewhere warm. I like to put it beside the radiator on a wee stool or something. especially at this time of the year when the kitchen's really cold, it will take a lot longer to prove. Proving just means growing and doubling in size, and that's what we're aiming for, this dough to double in size before we then go on and make our pizza, which I'm going to show you in a wee while. Left the dough to prove for about an hour to an hour and a half till it's doubled in size. You can see I've got it here. But before I roll that out, I'm going to show you how to make a quick tomato sauce topping for your pizza. Now you can just use a jar of passata or a jar of pasta sauce, but this is the cheapest way to do it, and I think it's really lovely. I put in the recipe half a can of tomatoes. I like to just make the whole lot. About a couple of tablespoons of tomato puree. You don't need to be dead accurate with this, but this gives it a nice flavour. And then I'm going to add some mixed herbs. This is actually oregano, I think, but a couple of teaspoons of oregano. Now this is the topping that they use in Pizza Hut, because I was in there one time and I asked them what the tomato sauce was, and they told me. And you might be surprised to learn I'm going to put some sugar, just about a teaspoon of sugar, but that just takes away the acidity from the tomatoes. A lot of tomato sauces have got quite a lot of sugar in, so it's not a lot of sugar, but it's just enough. I'm also going to add a wee bit of salt and pepper, not too much, just add that to taste. Now, if you've got one of these gadgets, you can blend it till it's quite smooth. If you don't, it doesn't matter, you can just leave it lumpy. Not everybody in my family likes that. And that's it, done. Now, as I say, I like to just use the whole tin of tomatoes, and then what I do is I'll maybe freeze half in one of these little plastic containers, and then whatever you don't use on your pizza topping you can freeze, and that's ready for the next time that you want to make one. Now, don't forget to tidy up as you go along, and don't forget to do your dishes. I'm going to remove the cling film and just scrape this dough out onto my flour surface. Now this dough will make two kind of largish 12-inch pizzas, or what I sometimes like to do is put it into little cake tins, and you'll get 4 this size. So that's another dough I made earlier. So a little bit of flour on your table, shape it into a round, and then get your rolling pin, flour that as well. And then you're just going to roll it, shape it with your hands, keep it nice and round. So just roll it forwards, back, and then turn it in the flour to make sure it's not sticking. Now, depending on whether you like it thin and crispy or deep pan, that's going to depend on how thin you roll it out. You can also do what the Italians do, kind of throw it up and catch it, and this gives you that nice, what's the word I'm looking for, stretched effect. Now, if you want the proper Italian pizza, just put it on a floured tray. If you want a crispier base, put a little bit of oil on your tray, and then just brush that. If you've not got a brush, just rub it over with your hands. So prepare yourself 2 flat baking trays, or as I say, you can do 4 of the smaller ones. Just pop that onto your tray, and then do the same with your other one. Here we are, 2 pizza bases. Just pop some sauce on, you know how much you like, and then just use the back of your spoon, circle that round, more. Just don't do it right to the edge. And then you can put on whatever you like. You'll see I've got a variety of toppings that I've prepared here earlier. So broccoli I find works really well if you cut it nice and thin. I actually had that in a pizza place in St Andrews. It was really the first time I tried it and really enjoyed it. Got some chopped up ham, just a couple of slices, just diced up or shredded, you can just tear it up. Some mushrooms, slice them thinly. You don't need to cook them first, just wash them and then slice them. Obviously we've got pineapple, that's debatable, ham and pineapple. Some people think it's a winning combination, others think not. So once you've put on the toppings that you like, you can get the family all involved and what flavours you want, and then a handful of grated mozzarella. This is the mozzarella I've got here. I've got that in Aldi's, but you can get it in any supermarkets. Or you can use grated cheddar, which works fine. It's just the mozzarella is the more traditional cheese that you find on. And then into the oven. Don't forget to use your oven gloves for about 12 to 15 minutes until they've risen nice and golden.